Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest when you think about your family's safety? That worry that wakes you in the dead of night? Whispering anxieties you dare not speak aloud? If you're listening to this now, perhaps it's because something inside you recognizes that there's a greater protection waiting to embrace those you love most. And today, I'm going to tell you about a secret that has changed the lives of millions of families around the world. On September 23rd, something extraordinary happens, something few know, but those who have discovered it will never forget. A direct connection between heaven and earth, mediated by a man who, even decades after his death, continues to protect entire families. His name is Padre Pio, and what you're about to discover may forever change the way you care for yours. Imagine for a moment a family devastated by illness. The doctors had given up. Prayers seemed to echo into the void. And then, on a night of September 23rd, a candle was lit, a sincere plea was made, and the impossible happened. But let me start at the beginning, because Padre Pio's story isn't just about miracles. It's about a quiet miracle that has protected families for over 50 years. Francesco Forgione was born in 1887 in a small Italian town called Pietrelcina. From childhood, he saw things others couldn't see. He communed with angels as if they were neighbors, and when he turned 15, something extraordinary began to happen to his body. Wounds appeared on his hands, wounds that bled but never healed, wounds that precisely mirrored the marks of the nails that pierced Christ's hands on the cross. Doctors were baffled. Science had no explanation. But Padre Pio knew these marks weren't punishment. They were a sign, a divine seal, that connected him directly to Christ's suffering. And through that suffering, he received a gift that would change the lives of millions. The gift of healing, the gift of protection, the gift of interceding for families crying out for help. For 50 years, people from all over the world journeyed to San Giovanni Rotondo in Italy, seeking Padre Pio's blessing. Mothers carrying sick children, fathers desperate with seemingly insurmountable problems. Entire families shattered by discord, poverty, despair, and something extraordinary happened when they encountered that man with the kind eyes and wise countenance. The wounds on his hands weren't just physical marks, they were portals through which divine grace flowed directly to those in need. Maria, an Italian mother, came to Padre Pio in 1960, carrying her 3-year-old son in her arms. Doctors had diagnosed an incurable illness. The child was losing his sight. And the doctors said that in a few months he would be completely blind. When Padre Pio saw the woman, he didn't say a word. He simply placed his marked hands on the child's head and whispered a prayer that no one else could hear. 3 days later, back home, the boy's vision began to return. In 2 weeks, it was completely restored. But you might be thinking, these are stories from decades ago. Padre Pio died in 1968. How can he protect my family today? And this is where the real magic begins, because Padre Pio's death wasn't the end of his mission. It was only the beginning of something much greater. At the moment he departed this world, witnesses reported that a scent of roses filled the hospital where he lay, a fragrance that didn't come from physical flowers, but emanated from his own body. And this perfume, this heavenly fragrance, became the sign of his continued presence among us. To this day, people around the world report sensing this scent of roses in times of great need, moments when their families are in danger, moments when they seem to have nowhere else to turn. Carlos, a Brazilian father, told me a story that still chills me. In March 2019, his 16-year-old daughter was hospitalized in an ICU in São Paulo. The doctors had given up hope. The family was gathered at the hospital, bracing for the worst. In the early morning hours of March 23rd, Carlos decided to do something he'd never done before. He lit a white candle and placed a picture of Padre Pio beside his daughter's bed. And then, with a voice thick with emotion, he made a simple plea. "Padre Pio, I entrust my daughter into your hands." At that moment, according to him, the entire room filled with such an intense scent of roses that even the nurses commented, and throughout the night, the machines monitoring the girl's vital signs began to show an inexplicable improvement. Within a week, she was out of the ICU. Within a month, completely recovered. Doctors called it a medical miracle. Carlos calls it Padre Pio's intercession. But why is the 23rd so special? Why does lighting a candle on this specific date hold such extraordinary power? Padre Pio died on September 23, 1968. But for his devotees, this date doesn't mark a death. It marks a transformation. The moment he ceased to be confined to a physical body and became able to be present everywhere, a family needed protection. The number 23 has become sacred to those who know the power of his intercession. Not just September 23rd, but every 23rd of each month, as if on these dates the barrier between heaven and earth becomes thinner and prayers find a more direct path to God's heart. Teresa, a Portuguese grandmother, discovered this by chance. Or perhaps it wasn't chance. For years, she noticed that whenever she lit a candle for Padre Pio on the 23rd of any month, something special happened in her family. On January 23rd, her grandson got into a seemingly impossible university. On June 23rd, her son found a job after months of unemployment. On October 23rd, her husband's medical tests showed that the tumor had completely disappeared. She could no longer believe in coincidences. There was something real, something powerful, something tangible happening every time she made that simple gesture of lighting a candle and entrusting her family to Padre Pio's care. And science, you might ask. What does science say about this? The truth is, there are things science can't yet explain, phenomena that defy our limited understanding of reality. A leading medical research institution has spent decades studying cases of inexplicable healing. And a significant percentage of these cases involve the intercession of saints, especially Padre Pio. Dr. Mitchell Krukoff, a cardiologist at Duke University, led a study showing that patients who were prayed for had recovery rates up to 50% higher than those who weren't. And when those prayers were specifically directed to Padre Pio, those numbers soared to levels defying any conventional medical explanation. But there's something even more extraordinary about Padre Pio. Something few know, but that could revolutionize how you protect your family. During his life, Padre Pio developed the ability of bilocation. This means he could be physically in San Giovanni Rotondo, Italy, and at the same time appear to people who needed him anywhere in the world. There are documented accounts of American soldiers during World War II who saw Padre Pio appear on the battlefields, protecting them from bombings. Desperate mothers who saw him at their sick children's bedside, even though he was thousands of miles away. And after his death, this ability didn't disappear. It intensified. Today, people report visions of Padre Pio in hospitals, in homes where there are family conflicts, in places where children are in danger, as if he had become a universal guardian, always alert, always ready to answer the call of a family in need. That candle you light on the 23rd isn't just a symbol, it's a beacon, a luminous signal that crosses dimensions and reaches Padre Pio, alerting him that your family needs protection, But how exactly do you perform this ritual? What's the right way to light this candle, and what exactly should you ask for? First, you need to understand that this isn't about magic, it's about faith. Sincere, humble, trusting faith. Padre Pio doesn't respond to demands. He responds to genuine pleas from hearts that recognize their need for divine help. And here's something crucial that many people don't understand. Padre Pio was always especially drawn to sincere humility. During his life, he often rejected requests from arrogant or ambitious people, but he never refused help to those who approached with a truly humble heart. The candle should be white, white as a symbol of purity, of sincerity of intentions. You can buy it at any church, at any religious goods store. It doesn't need to be expensive or elaborate. The price of the candle doesn't matter. It's the sincerity of the heart that lights it. There's a deep spiritual reason for choosing the color white. In Christian tradition, white represents not only purity, but also the divine light that overcomes darkness. When you light a white candle for Padre Pio, you are symbolically asking for the divine light to illuminate and protect your family against all negative forces. Choose a quiet place in your home, a place where you can be alone for a few minutes, without interruptions. It could be your bedroom. It could be the living room. It could even be the kitchen. The important thing is that it's a space where you feel comfortable opening your heart. Many people ask me if it's necessary to have a special altar or images of Padre Pio. The answer is, it's not mandatory, but it can help with concentration. If you have a photo or image of Padre Pio, place it near the candle. If you don't worry. The sincerity of your prayer is far more important than any physical object. Light the candle, preferably at the beginning of the night on the 23rd. Why? Because it was at the beginning of the night that Padre Pio used to say his deepest prayers. It was the time of day when he connected most intensely with the divine. Historically, Padre Pio had the habit of praying from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. every day. These were his holy hours, when he interceded especially for the families who had asked him for prayers. By choosing this time for your prayer, you are aligning yourself with the spiritual rhythm he established during his earthly life. And then, with the candle lit before you, start talking. You don't need to memorize complicated prayers. You don't need to use flowery language. Speak as if you were talking to a loving Father who is there, by your side, waiting to hear your concerns. Padre Pio, I entrust my family into your hands. This simple phrase has extraordinary power, because when you say these words sincerely, you are doing more than making a request. You are making a total surrender. You are acknowledging that there are forces greater than you working to protect those you love. The word entrust is crucial here. It doesn't mean abandoning your responsibility as a father, mother, or family member. It means recognizing that your human protection, however loving it may be, has limitations, and that there is a divine protection channeled through Padre Pio that can fill those gaps. But don't stop there. Keep talking. Tell Padre Pio about your specific concerns. That child who is making dangerous decisions. That daughter who is getting involved with the wrong people. That spouse who is facing health problems. Those elderly parents who need special protection. Talk about the fears you carry in your heart, about the anxieties that wake you up in the middle of the night, about the problems that seem too big for you to solve alone. And here's a secret that has changed the lives of thousands of families. Be specific in your requests. Sandra Oliveira, a nurse from Brasilia, learned this in the most touching way. For months, she prayed generically, "Padre Pio, protect my family." But the problems kept piling up. In April 2021, she decided to be more specific in her prayer on the 23rd. Padre Pio, my husband is working dangerous night shifts. Protect him on his way to and from work. My teenage daughter is going through a rebellious phase. Put guardian angels around her. My elderly father is having memory problems. Give me the wisdom to care for him with patience. The results were extraordinary. The following month, her husband got a transfer to day shifts. Her daughter spontaneously sought her mother out for a sincere conversation about her problems. And Sandra found a support group for caregivers of people with dementia that transformed her way of dealing with her father's situation. It was as if Padre Pio was waiting for me to be clearer about what I really needed, Sandra told me. And then, do something that may seem simple but is profoundly powerful. Thank him in advance. Thank him as if the protection has already arrived, as if the miracle has already happened, as if your family is already completely safe in Padre Pio's hands. Thank you, Padre Pio, for protecting my family. Thank you for hearing my request. Thank you for being present in our lives. This anticipatory gratitude isn't self-deception. It's an act of faith, a demonstration of your trust in God's goodness. It's a way to align your heart with heavenly abundance, preparing you to receive the blessings on their way, and let the candle burn completely. Don't extinguish it before it naturally finishes. While it burns, your prayer continues to ascend to the heavens. Your plea continues to echo in the spiritual dimensions. Your family remains covered by a protection that transcends our human understanding. The time it takes for the candle to burn completely is the time your prayer remains active in the spiritual dimensions. It's as if each minute of flame is an additional minute of powerful intercession. Many people ask me, but what if I can't light the candle on the 23rd? What if I'm traveling? What if I forget? The truth is, Padre Pio isn't a celestial bureaucrat checking dates and times. He's a spiritual father who understands our human limitations. If you can't light it on the exact day, light it the next day. If you don't have a white candle, use whatever you have. If you're traveling, say the prayer even without the candle. What matters isn't the perfection of the ritual. It's the sincerity of the heart. Padre Pio always taught that God looks at the heart, not outward appearances. During his life, he frequently said, "A prayer that comes from a sincere heart is worth more than 1,000 memorized prayers recited without feeling." But there's something that can exponentially increase the power of this prayer. Something few know, but those who practice it report even more extraordinary results. And this brings me to the next part of this extraordinary revelation that can forever transform the protection over your family. Family prayer. The secret that multiplies the power of Padre Pio's intercession 1,000-fold. For years, I've received hundreds of accounts from people who practiced the candle ritual on the 23rd. But there was something that intrigued me. Some families reported extraordinary miracles, complete life transformations. Others, while seeing improvements, didn't experience that total revolution they expected. What was the difference? What caused some families to be blessed so abundantly, while others received only a reflection of that grace? The answer came through an Italian family that forever changed my understanding of the power of collective prayer. Giuseppe and Maria Benedetti were a couple from Rome facing a devastating family crisis. Their eldest son had been addicted to drugs for 5 years. Their teenage daughter had become involved with a dangerous group at school. Debts were piling up. Their marriage was on the brink. In September 2017, they discovered the tradition of lighting a candle for Padre Pio on the 23rd. But instead of doing it individually, Giuseppe had an inspiration. On the 23rd of that month, he gathered the whole family in the living room. Mother, father, their 3 children, even the grandmother who lived with them. 7 people, 1 candle, a united prayer. And that night, something extraordinary happened. First, the scent of roses. Not only did Giuseppe and Maria smell it, all 7 family members reported the same intense aroma that filled the entire room. But that was just the beginning. In the following weeks, transformations began to happen one after another. The addicted son spontaneously sought help. The daughter broke away from the problematic group and returned to her studies. An unexpected job opportunity arose for Giuseppe. The debts began to be resolved in ways that seemed impossible. In 6 months, that destroyed family had become an example of harmony and prosperity in their community. Giuseppe told me something that made me understand the multiplying power of family prayer. When we pray together to Padre Pio, we are not 7 people making 7 separate requests. We are a family making one request with 7 united hearts, and apparently that makes all the difference. The Christian tradition has always known this. Jesus himself said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them." But applying this principle specifically to the intercession of Padre Pio creates a spiritual synergy that produces truly supernatural results. Think of it this way. When you light a candle alone, it's like a single voice crying out in the wilderness. But when the whole family unites in this prayer, it's like a heavenly choir where each voice amplifies and strengthens the others. Padre Pio was always especially sensitive to family needs. During his life, he frequently said, "The family is the first altar where the child learns to love God." He understood that protecting a family didn't just mean protecting isolated individuals, but preserving the sacred unity that is the foundation of all society. So how do you transform your individual prayer into a family prayer that exponentially multiplies its power? First, you need to prepare your family. And I know this may seem challenging, especially if not everyone at home shares the same faith, or if there are conflicts, or if some members are skeptical about spiritual matters. But here's the secret: you don't need to convince anyone about the existence of miracles. You just need to invite them to a moment of family unity. Start like this. On the 23rd, I'd like us to gather for a few minutes to pray for the protection of our family. It doesn't matter if you believe in miracles or not. What matters is that we're together, showing that we care about each other. Most people, even the most skeptical, can't refuse an invitation to demonstrate family love. And once they're there, present at the moment of prayer, something powerful happens. The sincerity of a heart that prays for the family has the power to touch even the most resistant. Choose a time when everyone can be present. It could be after dinner, it could be before everyone goes to sleep. The important thing is that it's a time when no one is in a hurry, no one is distracted by other obligations. Turn off the televisions, put the cell phones aside. Create an environment where the only important thing at that moment is the family's unity before something bigger than all of you. Light the white candle in the center of the table or in a place where everyone can see it. And then, with humility and sincerity, begin to pray. Padre Pio, we gather here as a family to entrust each other into your hands. Protect each person in this room. Protect our home. Protect our love for one another. And then do something revolutionary. Ask each family member to say a prayer for the others, not for themselves, but for the other family members. A father prays for the protection of his mother and children. The mother prays for the protection of her father and children. Each child prays for the protection of their parents and siblings. When we do this, something profound happens in our hearts. We move from natural self-centeredness and enter a dimension of selfless love. And it is precisely this dimension that attracts the special attention of Padre Pio. Ana Lucia, a mother from Brasilia, told me how this practice completely transformed her family's dynamic. For years, she and her husband argued constantly. Their teenage children were rebellious and disrespectful. The house lived in a climate of permanent tension. On November 23, 2020, she managed to convince the whole family to participate in the collective prayer. At first, there was resistance. Her husband thought it was silly. The children complained that it was a waste of time. But when the time came for each of them to pray for the others, something extraordinary happened. The eldest son, who was the most rebellious, began to cry when he prayed for the protection of his parents. The teenage daughter, always closed off and aggressive, asked forgiveness for the conflicts she caused at home. And the husband, who had only participated to please his wife, ended the night saying he had never felt so much love for his family as at that moment. In the following months, the house was transformed. The arguments drastically decreased. The children became more respectful and affectionate. The marriage strengthened in a way that Ana Lucia never imagined possible. It was as if Padre Pio had placed a mantle of protection over our home, she told me. Not only protection against external dangers, but protection against the internal dangers that were destroying our family. And there's another secret within this secret. Something that can make your family prayer even more powerful. The choice of specific intentions. Many people make generic prayers, protect my family, bless my home. And while these prayers are valid, they don't harness the full potential of Padre Pio's specific intercession. Padre Pio was always known for his ability to read hearts. He knew exactly what the real need of each person who sought him was, even when they couldn't articulate their problems clearly. So, when you pray to Padre Pio, be specific, very specific. If you have a teenage child making dangerous choices, don't just pray, protect my child. Pray, Padre Pio, turn my child away from negative influences. Put good people in his path. Give him the wisdom to make decisions that honor our family. If you have financial problems, don't just pray, help us with money. Pray, Padre Pio, open doors of opportunity for our family. Bring worthy work. Teach us to manage well what we have. Protect us from excessive ambition and envy. If there are conflicts in your marriage, don't just pray, bless our marriage. Pray, Padre Pio, heal the wounds between us. Teach us to forgive. Restore the love we once felt for each other. Protect our commitment against everything that tries to separate us. This specificity isn't to inform Padre Pio about something he doesn't know. It's to align your heart with the divine will. It's to clarify your own intentions and open specific channels through which grace can flow. Roberto, a businessman from Sao Paulo, discovered this in the most surprising way. His company was on the verge of bankruptcy in March 2021. He had tried everything, loans, new partners, changes in strategy. Nothing worked. On the 23rd of that month, during family prayer, he made a very specific request. Padre Pio, if it is God's will that I keep this company, show me exactly what I need to do. If it is better that I close it, give me the wisdom to do so without harming my employees. 3 days later, he received an unexpected call. A foreign investor had learned about his work through a former client and was interested not only in investing in the company, but in expanding it to other countries. Today, Roberto has businesses in 5 Latin American countries and employs over 200 people, but he always says that the real miracle wasn't the money that came. It was the clarity he received to know exactly what to ask for and how to proceed. And that brings me to another crucial aspect of family prayer to Padre Pio that few know, the power of collective anticipatory gratitude. When your family gathers to pray, don't end only with requests, end with thanks. Thanks for miracles you haven't yet seen, for protection you haven't yet perceived, for blessings that are still on their way. Thank you, Padre Pio, for protecting our family at this moment. Thank you for the doors you are opening for us. Thank you for the dangers from which you protect us without us realizing. Thank you for our family being united at this moment, demonstrating our love for one another. This anticipatory gratitude has extraordinary power. It demonstrates genuine faith. It aligns your heart with divine abundance. It prepares your family to receive miracles with an open and grateful heart. But there's one last secret I need to share with you. Something that can determine whether your family will experience occasional miracles or live in a permanent state of divine protection. Consistency. Many people do the candle prayer on the 23rd once or twice and then stop. Or they only do it when they are facing a specific crisis. And while Padre Pio may answer these punctual prayers, the true power of his intercession manifests itself through devoted consistency. The Benedetti family, which I mentioned earlier, didn't stop after the first miracle. They made the prayer on the 23rd a monthly family tradition, and as the months passed, the miracles didn't diminish. They intensified. On the 23rd of each month, they gather, light the candle, make their specific prayers, demonstrate gratitude, and Padre Pio responds, month after month, with protection, blessings, guidance. Today, 5 years later, Giuseppe told me that they can no longer imagine their life without this tradition. It's as if Padre Pio has become an invisible member of our family, he said, always present, always protecting, always guiding. And you might ask, but what if 1 month I can't gather the whole family? What if someone is traveling? What if there are conflicts that prevent unity? The answer is simple. Do what you can. If only 2 members can be present, let it be 2. If only you can say the prayer, do it alone, but pray for the whole family. If you are geographically separated, arrange to pray at the same time, each in their own place. What matters is not logistical perfection, it's the unwavering faith, the selfless love, and the unwavering devotion to Padre Pio's guidance. It's the constant intention to keep your family under Padre Pio's protection. Carmen, a 70-year-old grandmother, created a beautiful tradition to keep her family spiritually united, even when physically separated. On the 23rd of each month, at 7 p.m., she sends a message to all her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Time for Padre Pio's prayer. Wherever you are, let's unite in spirit. And for 15 minutes, no matter where they are in the world, all family members pause their activities to pray for each other's protection. Some light candles, others simply pray silently, but everyone connects at that moment through Padre Pio's intercession. The results have been extraordinary. A family that was dispersing due to the demands of modern life found a way to remain spiritually united. And with this spiritual unity came practical blessings, restored relationships, thriving businesses, preserved health, resolved conflicts. Before we conclude, I want to share with you something I consider the most powerful testimony I've ever received about the power of family prayer to Padre Pio. Mark and Helen were a couple who had lost their faith after the death of their 8-year-old son in a car accident. For 3 years, they lived immersed in depression, guilt, and resentment towards God. Their marriage was shattered. Their teenage daughter, who survived, developed self-destructive behaviors. A neighbor, seeing the family's suffering, told them about Padre Pio and the tradition of the candle on the 23rd. Initially, they completely rejected the idea. If God exists and is good, why did he let our son die? They questioned. But on December 23rd, 2018, driven more by despair than faith, they decided to try. They gathered in the living room, father, mother, and daughter, lit a white candle, and amidst tears of anger and pain, offered the most honest prayer of their lives. Padre Pio, we don't understand anything. We don't know if God exists, if you can hear us, if it's worthwhile to pray. But we are here, broken, asking that if possible, help us find some meaning in all this. Protect our daughter, heal our marriage, help us survive this pain. That night, for the first time in 3 years, the three slept without nightmares. And in the following days, small signs of hope began to appear. Their daughter spontaneously sought psychological help. The couple began to talk about their pain instead of avoiding the subject, and slowly, very slowly, the family began to rebuild. Today, 5 years later, Mark and Helen lead a support group for parents who have lost children. They don't pretend that the pain has completely disappeared, but they found a way to transform their suffering into compassion for others. And every 23rd, they gather not only with their daughter, but with other bereaved parents to light candles for Padre Pio and ask for protection for all families facing devastating losses. Padre Pio didn't bring our son back, Helen told me. But he taught us that even in the deepest pain, it's possible to find purpose. He protected our family from total destruction and gave us the strength to help other families. This is the true nature of Padre Pio's protection. It doesn't free us from all the difficulties of life, but it gives us the strength to overcome them. It doesn't prevent us from facing storms, but it ensures that we have a safe harbor where we can take shelter. And that safe harbor is your family united by faith, protected by the powerful intercession of a saint who dedicated his entire life to caring for families in need. So, when the next 23rd arrives, gather your family, light a white candle, offer specific prayers for each other, show anticipatory gratitude for the blessings to come, and surrender yourselves completely to the paternal care of Padre Pio, because there is a higher protection waiting to embrace your family, a protection that transcends our human understanding, but that manifests itself in very real and tangible ways in our daily lives. Your family doesn't need to face life's challenges alone. Padre Pio is waiting for your call, your lit candle, your sincere prayer, your trusting surrender. On September 23rd, and on every 23rd of each month from now on, light a candle before Padre Pio and entrust your family. Because miracles are waiting to happen. Protection is waiting to manifest. Love is waiting to heal all wounds. And it all starts with a simple lit candle and a heart that trusts in the powerful intercession of one who never stopped protecting the families who cry out for his help. May Padre Pio bless and protect your family, today and always.